I am Ann-Peggy Divine. Welcome to the Divine Design, the podcast where we unfold heaven on earth and reframe spirituality and theology for a new cosmic era. Your journey on human evolution and integration of your divine design starts here. Welcome, Mary Angelico. We just met, and we met with a yes. Saying yes. I told you a little bit that I am in I have been in a birth process just now, and I was invited to this over 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, 2015, 16 and 17, and it was so much, and I said no, because I didn't know how to cope with that. But what I have learned now is to say yes. And you said when I met you now, well, I'm where I am because I have said yes. So we will dwell into what does it mean to say yes to life, on a kind of a feminine way, like an experience, not in a mental, but through the heart.
All right. You lead.
Yeah. So when did you start to say yes?
Do you want the long history or the summarized?
Maybe the
I have a
summarize, maybe,
story.
yeah, because I think if we try to speak about it so that listeners can take most fruits of it, how can we use it in our own life?
Okay. I do have to go back a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was just entering college. Well, first of all, I was born very quiet, very, very quiet and shy. Not an outward person, didn't like to be seen, was very, very, just let me be in the shadows, let me work behind the scenes. I don't want to be out front and center. And so I had a hard time speaking up in public groups. Um, but I was born with this color hair. I was given multiple capacities and talents and all of this thing and how that works with trying to hide and also having things you're here to be a part of and utilize.
Yeah.
So I followed my passions, I followed my interests growing up. But when I got to college, I still had carried sort of a chain of, I thought of it as a chain later on. I had a chain locking up my voice, locking up, the part of me that felt comfortable bringing myself out. So when I was interested in music, I was an artist. So those two things were very front and center. Going to college to study art, just so many things.
Yeah.
Well, I was about 17 when I had a spiritual experience where I had my first big wash of God, of spirit, of holy re refreshing me into going, oh, it's more than a belief, it's real.
Yeah.
This is real. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I kind of I had awakened in that unbelievable, wow, I am in dialogue, I am in relationship with something way bigger than myself. And I always had faith and I always believed and I always followed. I didn't ever not. But this was the really realizing that there was something interfacing and interacting with me. And so I would listen
Yeah.
intuitively. I would listen to impressions and impulses. And I was about 18, I think, 17. I was 17, and a very, very small voice used to start saying in my mind telepathically, you need to learn to sing. You need to take voice lessons. And for me, it was like you need to walk the plank and jump off in the ocean and die. That's what I translated it as. It is like, no, 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 no. It was very quiet. And here's my point. It was super quiet, very calm. And it said, periodically, just every now and then, you need to take voice lessons. And I just kind of ignored it for a period like you. And no, no, no. But finally, it just kept persisting. And so finally, one day I talked to my mom and I very timidly said, I need to take voice lessons. And she found a teacher and set me up and started. And the first thing he wanted me to do is go up into the mountains and shout at the top of my lungs, and it's like, I don't do that. I don't make big noise. It was like, but it was someone who got me to open my mouth.
Yeah.
And then I went to college and got an excellent, excellent teacher who for the first time told me, you can sing and you have a beautiful voice and you're a mezzo soprano. And, so I had all of this support.
Yeah.
And so I slowly learned to open and learn to sing and practice singing. And mostly it was just to break me through that very tight, tight chain that was around my voice.
Yeah.
And so for about half a year, I think I just went down that route. And then my voice shifted, my little talky voice shifted, and it started saying, you could write music if you wanted. And I was going, oh, well, I'm here to study art. I want to be a painter. Brushed it aside a little bit. And it just kept persistently and quietly saying, you could write music if you wanted. And I didn't have any reason. I didn't have any drive. I didn't have an impulse, but it just kept telling me that.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to a meeting at the college. They had a big assembly and a speaker came in. I think it was through the art department. Somebody came through, and it was it was a religious college that I went to. So there was easy to talk about God and service and things like that. So
Yeah.
a speaker said, he said, I call on these latter day Rembrandts and latter day Michelangelos and latter day like people that live here and now. You're here. You have the talent, you have the abilities. We are calling upon you to come forward and start creating great art. And of course, my heart was just like, oh, I was so excited. And so, but I just got into college and I saw my talent compared to so many others was, it wasn't as great as it was in my small town, And so, um, the speaker went on to say one more thing. He said, but it won't come, the greatest works will not come from those who have the most talent. The greatest works will come from the most humble who listen to spirit and let it flow through them. And all of a sudden, I had this great hope. It's like, I know I'm not the most talented, but I listen, I do, I follow. And I was so excited. It's like, almost like I want to jump out of my seat and raise my hand and go, I volunteer, I volunteer. So that just put me in a different place.
Yeah.
And then time went on, and I just wanted. And so finally one day, and I absolutely remember the day, the moment, it was just forever embedded in my mind. I was traveling somewhere. I was in the passenger seat, and I remember thinking, and I think it was Mother's Day was coming up or something about my mom. And I was thinking, what could I do for my mom? And my voice said, you could write her a song.
Ah.
And so I went, yes. And then I saw this circle. I saw that there was a circle here that my mom had been the one that had faithfully given me piano lessons, faithfully supported me taking vocal lessons, faithfully always believed in me and my music and my talent. And I said, I could write a song. I could take what my mom had gifted me and then turn it around and honor her
Wow.
through the music she gifted to me. And I saw a circle. I saw this beautiful spiritual circle.
Ah.
Just come and I would put it out. And that was the key.
Yeah.
I could feel it. My heart opened to it. So I went home and I just got my paper and I sat down and I just like started. In 30 minutes, I was sitting at my piano bench weeping because this song just went whoosh through me. And in that moment, I had something, and it was simple, and it was sweet, and it was me proposing to her pre-Earth life for her to come and be my mother, and how post-Earth life, I would be her witness. I would stand forward and say what this amazing, amazing soul was. And anyway, it was so profound that I just like I was hooked, and the door had opened. And then from there on, songs and music and music and music would just, but it always was in response to a heartfelt, intimate, personal need of somebody. I never sat down. I tried once to write some songs about an idea. Nothing would come. But if I knew there was a person, if I knew there was something to be had, I would tune in, receive the song. I could feel the wave. I called it the musical wave. And then it would flow through me, and I would tweak it a little bit, but generally it was given. The words were given, the feelings were given. And there came a point when I realized that the music wasn't masterful. They were like um, waves of frequency that spirit could come in and ride on top of and utilize it through, and then flow into the world through that and reach it. So it was like an opening or a bridge for higher spirit and higher frequency and higher love to come through into this world. And I always knew it because I didn't care if I got paid. I didn't care if it went out in the world. I just wanted it to reach that person that it was for. And when it reached them, there was always tears. And I always knew that when we felt it, divine connection had been created.
Do you know
And
what you?
so,
I'm so amazed. I'm so amazed because this is so in resonance what I just have been shown. What you are speaking about, it was showed me as a soul whisper. You get the essence of
yes,
something, and it comes through. You just feel it. It resonates with you. So what you have described, it is the future profession that ladies like you, or also men that are in resonance, I know that they are meant to do that. They just download the divine essence of
yes,
a human
yes.
and bring it, because then it's resonance, and it's a remembrance. You brought remembrance to your mother.
And the point being, the key was that it wasn't about talent. It wasn't about all that this world in the false matrix creates for us is you have to be the best. You have to shine. You have to stand out above everybody else. This was like, no, no, no. You have to be open. You have to be listening. You
Yeah.
have to be willing. And that to me was the big key of how to start saying yes to life, because I had this chain, I had this lockup, and just actually recently when I had my experience with the Essenes, where I was shown that I had been associated with the Essene community in a former life, in an ancient life, and that their whole way of life was this open, flowing, kind of what we believe is going to be the heaven on earth type. Everybody lives with one heart, one mind, one, we're all together. We are a community, and we are all for one, and everything is flowing through us. The oneness is flowing through us. But in that lifetime, apparently, from what I heard historically, they were pretty much overtaken and slaughtered, everyone, just. And so as I was pondering this just about a month ago, I was shown that I had brought the trauma through here. And the trauma had been lodged within me that said, if you speak the truth, they kill you.
Yeah.
I'm sure many of us have that.
I have walked through that too, and I have been killed for the truth. So I have had, yeah.
Yes.
I was forced into it by the mafia. Actually, they followed me for 3 years because I had this from past life. But anyhow, that's wow. We have to go. Most of us have to go to that. Bringing our truth is. We are attached to it. This will uh, take our lives. We will die if we tell the truth.
But the beautiful thing that I've found is that if we die before we die,
Yeah.
if we
Yeah,
release
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the egoic personality, if we release that part of us that stays in the matrix, that hosts the fear, that is not real. It is the illusion
Yeah.
that something outside of you can take your freedom, can take your life, has all this power. If we release, because I was working on fear, get rid of fear through this persona. And I've been keep being shown, no, 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 the persona goes, the mask comes off, the what you are not will be taken off, and then what you are has no fear. And so it took I had to work with my person,
Yeah.
the little Mary that was so afraid, that
Yeah.
just came into this world completely clamped up, shut down, full of passion, full of life, but
Yeah.
she didn't dare be seen or heard, so she was like, but at 17, when the voice started talking to me, when spirit started guiding me, it was a very loving, and this is one of why I know it came from the mother realm. It was so loving and so soft and so gentle. The voice kept saying, you could you could do this if you wanted. You could write music if you wanted. It didn't say do such and such. It was very gentle on me. And it was like the sun just warming and you're melting little by little by little. And they hooked me in my heart when I saw that the music would reach that person that I wrote that song for. And it's like, now record the music. It's like, you're kidding. Technology, what? I am totally right brained. And it was back in the day of cassette tapes or a CD or something. I could hand that to someone and just gift a song that is so, so potent. I can't say it's the best song that was ever written, but it was like so filled and it carried. And I knew all along it wasn't me. And so I felt absolutely, utterly confident that since it's not me, since it's so greater, and little by little, I'm being shown, it is you. You are that, and that is you, and it's all. But as I started saying yes in my little, slow, timid, but convicted way, because I knew the truth was coming through. And the more I said yes, the more information came
Yes.
until I was shown that this was actually called new music.
Yeah.
Being gifted to the
Yeah.
earth
It is music.
was
It,
called new music.
yeah.
And it was coming from higher realms and it was being gifted. This started this was 1975, 74, 75 when this first started. So I feel like a great portal has opened and now music is just flooding the earth and people are bringing it forward and it is just fabulous. So my next shift was after many, many years of this, I started wondering, probably in the last 10 or so years, could I do this with art? And so this is the journey I'm on right now, is can I shift the same principles? My camera's going crazy.
Yeah, we have a little bit of bad line.
My camera goes off a little every now and then. So can I shift it to how I paint, how I do my art?
Yes.
And I realized that the baseline principle is yes, saying yes.
Yeah.
It is just saying, I want to do this in the world or whatever you want me to do in the world, but can it be done through painting? Because I certainly love to paint.
Yeah.
And so I've offered it. I said, here, I take this, I put it in front, and I offer it to be another one of those vehicles that spirit can ride, that these frequency waves, these activation waves can ride through. Oh, I would so like that so very much, and so I've been offering it, I've been guided, had opportunities, and so now I'm learning how to paint by spirit, how to paint without the left brain taking over and wanting to control everything and be perfect and absolutely stressed when I'm done. It's like this new way that you're talking, this the schools, the language, the art, the music.
You are talking about it. It's
Right.
like, wow, you are talking
Oh, yes.
because what you are
It's
doing, it,
my
yeah.
passion.
And
My
you, what you
passion.
are, you are talking about the blueprint that we are heading against. All teachers will have the same as you now. At we that the divine come true when we do what we are supposed to do, helping the children of the future.
Yes. And every act of life, it won't be separate from religion and spirituality. It will be you
In,
go to the garden and you have a massive spiritual experience. You plant a seed and you're in ecstasy. You sing a song and you're just passing the spirit of love back and forth. And like I was shown with my song for my mother, I saw even from the very beginning the circle. And I love the circle. The
yeah,
circle is so profound and I know it belongs to the feminine, the mother
yeah,
aspect of deity.
yeah.
The circle is always about you send out, forget about, don't worry about yourself, don't try to get, you just send everything you would ever want. And, but also, a lot of the givers aren't very well, they're not good at receiving. They're like, oh, no, 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 don't, I just give, and then you fall over and, they can't function for a month because they're just empty.
Yeah, I have
And
to
I've
learn to.
been
Yeah, I have to learn that too. I gave until the doctor said you will die. So because we are programmed with, okay, we are just supposed to give, not kind of receive.
Well, and if you are a veteran mother, as you are,
Yeah, I what?
you know,
Yeah, I have five adult children. Yeah.
yeah, I've raised 8 children, so
Oh,
I understand
yeah.
that's another spiritual training
That it is. Yes, it is.
about give, but then when do you need to stop?
Yeah,
When do you allow others to take care of themselves?
yeah,
And there's much training there.
yeah.
But yeah, I've seen that circle. That circle is so profound, and I know it's part of the geometric patterns that are going to come. Maybe not even circle anymore. I feel like it's shifting to spiral because every time we do something, we we bring it up.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing it on a 2D plane, but I don't think it is. I think it's multidimensional. I think it's spiral versus circle. It's not a closed loop,
Oh.
but give and receive, and then we elevate, and then oh, it's just, I see these patterns and I live for the day when your schools and your, whatever you're bringing forward, I am here to celebrate that and
But
I feel
Mary,
like the
I
seeds that
love
I'm
what you are
planting.
saying because you say I will see how this work to painting. So what you are doing now, you are showing people how this new system is. Now you are testing it out, kind of. So it's music in my ear what you say. Now I have done it through all the other things you have done, and now you want to try it to art.
Yes. And
Wow.
it's working well. I didn't suddenly instantly become mega talented just sheerly by dedicating the art, but what people feel through the paintings is very interesting as things come back, and I'm a portrait painter. So it's nice to be able to work in the realm of soul portraits and human portraits. And I tell you, sometimes, in fact, I had the experience the other day. Quite a few years ago, I did a portrait of my father who has passed, and one of my mom who's still with me. She's 92, but she's still here on this side. So, but the other day, I have a bedroom on the floor where kind of at the foot of my bed. I sat down at the foot of my bed one day where the sun was streaming in, and I just wanted to get some solar, get some of that. And so I sat in the sun, and I was just kind of casually just staring at the portraits, which are maybe 3 or 4 feet away from me. And my dad, it's a portrait where he's looking forward. And suddenly it was like it lit up, not physically, but I felt an energy just like, whoa, like a sudden. I looked over there and it's like, whoa, dad is here. Like he used the painting to show me I'm here.
Yeah.
And then we had a connection, and he was showing me that I needed to go sit down and write a letter because he wanted to write a letter to my mom. And so I sat and I brought my journal and my pen, and it's like, okay, Dad, go. But it was that that was so great that he used my painting as a flow through point to connect with me. And
Wow.
then I've been practicing this, of course, so I don't need to have the painting necessarily, but I could see where this is gifting, symbolic, something. It doesn't have to be music, it doesn't have to be a painting, but something
Mm.
that can be, I love this word sanctified, like it can become blessed or made holy or made more than it is to bring forward these frequencies and these activations that are shifting us, literally shifting us. And so it's just like every little part that we can be a part of that.
Yeah.
Why not take everything you do, whatever you do, and say yes to the higher level of what that can be in this world? And so that's been my journey of the yeses. It's just kind of kicking and screaming like, I don't want to speak in front of people. No, I don't want to be seen. No, I don't want to be up front. But everything in my life has kind of gently pushed me down that route
Yeah.
to where once I get over my idea of myself, why can't I speak? Why can't I come on a Zoom call with you? Why can't I do a podcast if that's what I'm being called to do? And so I even got married because of it. I remember that's been about 18 years ago. I met someone. I had ended my first marriage of 30 years and I had met somebody. We weren't yet in the same location, but we were emailing and talking on the phone. Well, that month I was given by Spirit, say yes to all. And so I wrote it on my vision board, yes to all. Little did I know that during that month, when I had that up there, and we had a conversation one night, this man and I, and he said, you know, you're so amazing. He goes, I Washington and Portland, Oregon, and he said, I would drive up there right now and just marry you. And I looked at, I thought of my thing on my board. Ah, hold on, Mike. I said, yes to all. And so I think that was the proposal. And I think that did end in our getting together and getting married. And so you got to be ready.
Yeah.
If you're going to say yes to all, you got to be ready.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because, as I said, I wasn't ready to say yes to all in 2015 because I was in the middle of the dark night of my soul, and it lasted for 6 years, and I opened very much during these 6 years, but to do what I have done now the last year, it was kind of a foresight. I knew what was coming, so I was trained, and I said, "Well, I cannot carry this. This is too much. This is too much. No, I cannot carry it." But now, when I do, it's like, "Yes, give it to me. Now I can take it." And when I had this sermon this Thursday, it gave me this very big key. It was so heavy. It was like, "Oh, I cannot carry it. So heavy." And then I said, "Okay, I can take it, but you have to help me." So we get
Yeah.
help also. It was wow,
Yes.
and what came true, yeah. And it's some of the you have talked about saying yes, birthing the new, because we have spoken about saying yes, and it is through our heart, not from our mind. We say yes through the heart. Everything that show up in our life, it's not a coincidence.
Yes. I had another aspect of it. I don't know if you want to hear the hard part. There's a hard one that came a few years back. I was living in a situation where my husband, we'd been offered a new job, and so I came ahead to live in one of my son's homes in Kentucky, in the U.S. into a home that had a business, an herbal business that we ran. And I was going to stay there while we were working on moving ourselves this direction and into this new job. So I was all alone living in this house, running this business, shipping the products and doing things, which was fun. I'd never done that in my whole life. I'd never lived alone. And so one night I was there. It was probably about, well, I had just gotten news that my fifth child, one, two, three, fifth child, my son, had just had his first baby that day. His wife had just birthed their child, their first child that day. And I was in, you know, grandma bliss. Sorry,
Yeah.
my camera. So I was in this reverie of joy and bliss. And it was late at night, and I was outside on the back deck, and I was just looking up at the stars, and my whole being was just, oh, just so happy. And I was praying and talking to the divine, and I just said, out of the blue, I just said, okay, take me to the next level.
Oh, I get goosebumps because I have done it. Oh, yeah.
Take me to the
Wow.
next level. I'm
Wow.
ready.
And I have to say,
Okay.
we are not ready to always to go to the next level.
So here's what it was.
Yeah.
I and I just got this crazy impulse. It was like 11 o'clock at night. Walk in the dark and go get the mail. So, okay. And I love going barefoot and I love walking in the dark and I'm not afraid. And so I walked this long driveway and got the mail and came back to the house. I still hadn't turned the lights on in the house because I'd just been outdoors looking at stars and just in so much joy. And I just happened to look through the mail before I set it down, and one of the letters was from a phone company talking about 5G and they want to update to 5G. And I'm kind of a activist against such things, you know, it's like, don't want that. I um I went into kind of a negative moment where I was thinking, oh, I don't like cell phones. I don't want to use my, and every night I would call my husband and we'd have our good night talk. So I decided instead of my cell phone, I would use my house phone, which I had personally set up and requested to get a very long cord, you know, and not use the Wi-Fi. And so I thought, I'm going to get my other phone tonight. And so I got this other phone because I'd gone got the mail, looked at that letter, thought that negative thought. I got the phone with the long, like 100-foot cord, you know, to walk it through this whole entire large house. And so I was just kind of going to my bedroom where I would lay in bed and talk, call my husband, and we'd have our little talk. And so I was trying to untangle the cord and walk backwards to the bedroom, but I actually veered off to the right. And I, instead of walking down the hallway, I walked to the top of a set of stairs and I just went directly backwards and down those stairs. And minutes later, I was at the bottom. I was broken. I was in the dark. I was wearing my pajamas. I was, you know, just in the most, probably the most raw, vulnerable moment I'd ever had in my entire life. And I was alone. And so I just laid there for a minute in shock, you know, and then I just started saying out loud, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I was just, I'd never experienced such a thing. And then all of a sudden, my voice, you know, that little voice that's been with me my whole life, it said, lift up your knees. And so I tentatively, okay, I can lift up my knees. My back's not broken, you know, just turn to the right. And so I slowly, and then I could tell my left arm was not okay. So I kind of grabbed a hold of it and turned to the right. And I mean, this voice just,
Guided you.
okay, stand up. Okay, take a step, you know, and it just, I don't know how I got up the stairs. I don't know how I got to my bed, but this voice just never left me because do this, do this, do this. I called my husband yeah, and he took charge, you know, 911 and got his plane ticket to fly out and, you know, just everything. And an ambulance comes and takes me. And in the middle of the night, I'm alone. all I have is this flimsy little nightgown, no underwear even, just like the most vulnerable I have ever felt in my entire life. And when it was all over with, years and years later, I have looked back and it's like, well, what was that? Like, I said, take me to the next level. And 10 minutes later or so, I am at the bottom,
Yeah.
broken in the dark. I said, what was that? How does that qualify as the next level?
Yeah.
And what was shown to me was, Mary, it shows you are never alone, ever. And
Wow.
I realized is like there wasn't maybe 10 minutes, 30 at the most in that whole experience that I was truly thought I was alone. And the minute my guidance started talking to me, everything flowed, even to the point where even in the ambulance, some woman, I don't even know what her role was, but she sat with me and we talked and I told her that story, what had just happened. And we affirmed things like, oh yeah, we're never alone and angels watch over us. And, I was kind of laughing and I'm in the middle of a crisis and it's just like everything worked out. Everybody came, rushed forward. Neighbors came and brought me food. My daughter drove all the way out from another place and my mom flew out and, it was just like, I wasn't alone. I was so loved. I was so cared for. I was so blessed. And then I look at it, it's like only my left arm. I still had my perfectly viable arm to keep working, keep making herbal products, keep shipping, keep doing things. It was like I could still cook, I could still draw, I could still write. Everything was still in place, but that moment of don't be afraid because it doesn't matter what it is, you are not alone. And I never lived alone in my whole life, so I couldn't test that out until that very moment. So that was the next level, and I don't regret it. I think it was needed. I think it was powerful. And I won't say I want to do it again, but I would say it gives me confidence and strength about saying yes to life because
Yeah.
not like, oh, I said yes and I was betrayed, but more like I said yes and I was shown that every aspect of this dual planet is supported and sustained if you listen.
I love your story. Wow. And I see that when I was also in the dark night of the soul, the only thing I could listen, I could trust because it was so much craziness around me. The only thing I can trust it was listening and the guidance, because
Mm-hmm.
I rejected all to the 2013. I didn't. I want to live in my normal life, being a mother and doing all the things. But after that, when my ego died, that was the only thing that was it was true. It was truth, kind of.
Yes,
So
yes,
so now I don't do anything about. I listen also every day.
yes. Well, we just got through a series of very frightening storms here. The last 2 days have been pretty intense. Tornadoes touching down around us, and and I go back to that story. I think about that, and
Yeah.
2 nights ago, I was laying in bed going, okay, so if they suddenly said, evacuate, because so many people are being compelled to do this right now,
Yes.
what would I do? What would I take? What would be important? And so I've been running through kind of lists in my mind of what is even important. And I've been asking people this question, what is really important when you're in crisis and something happens and you're asked to just go?
Yeah.
What do you do? And some of the interesting answers that have come from some family members, one of them said, just my family. And like my family, that's it. I don't care about anything else. And but I was thinking, what if it did sound like my roof was about to be torn off 2 nights ago. And I was like, what if the roof came off? And I just have such confidence that my guidance would kick in. I would be impulsed what to grab, what to do, where to go, how to do it, what would happen next. And even this morning, as I was meditating and writing, what came through was this beautiful message that all, well, when we always go back to I am the I am,
Yeah.
and that I'm always working on, if I can shift, it would be to drop the fear, drop the fear, drop the fear. And it was like, oh, how did it go? I wrote it. Let's see if, do you mind if I grab this?
No, it's okay.
Hold on. All right. Here's what it says. Beyond the matrix is when you realize with real eyes, the real I, the real I.
Yeah.
Then why should you fear? When you realize that not only all is well, but all is all. Trust, I am with you. I am you. I am full of cause, effect, and answer. Oh, when I heard that, it was just like cause, effect, and answer. So there isn't anything that comes to us, anything that doesn't have cause, isn't somehow divinely connected, isn't have effect. Maybe we call it good or bad. We might not like it. Um, and then answer is, sorry, answer is embedded in the very experience that you're having. So why should you fear? Cause, effect, and answer are all one, and you are one, and the source of all is one, and you're all the author of everything. Why not say yes? So that was kind of where I ended up this morning, just like,
I love it because this is deep feminine knowledge. It is the same as has been shown me. It was shown me to go into the deep Egyptian mysticism. I had no relationship to that, but since Heather took over my body and she showed me so much, and today I also went into what is the mysticism of Egypt. I have no clue, but what you are speaking about, it is you are speaking about it because it is the living through the heart, living beyond
yes,
illusion,
yes,
letting us be
yes,
guided because we have everything in the here and now, everything.
yes. And so the only way it makes sense, as you said, is that we do it with the heart. And the heart intelligence says it doesn't make sense, but just go with this because this has answer embedded.
Yeah.
And this has, I think it's the fun mystery of, I call it the game that I play with the divine. I
Fine
call
game.
it the treasure hunt. And I said just a few days ago in my dialogue with the divine, I said, you know, I like the game. I really like treasure hunt. So when you pop up surprises, when you bring me synchronicities, when you just start the numbers, I love the geometric numbers. I love the sequences. I love the everything that's talking to me, signs and books falling off the shelf, and even my portraits, flashing the soul of the person that I painted so long ago, all of that is a treasure hunt game that I just delight in. And it's very feminine, very intuitive, right brain kind of feminine way of living. Of course, that's sort of the tendencies that I have. But it's all a part of saying yes because you're not in fear. You're having a delightful, delightful play with the divine.
Yeah, and we want to experience life, and the experience goes through the heart. It's not the mental. It's boring to be in the mental, afraid. No, 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 no. I want to stay safe back here. You are safe. We are safe. Just we cannot be more safe than we are. So it's like, why just
Yes.
don't go with the divine flow, and it will take you to such heights. It's like, wow, you will be a star in your own life anyhow.
I can give you one more story. My youngest daughter lives in North Carolina, which I don't know if you see all that out there, but definitely had a very, very devastating crisis with a hurricane that just wiped out towns and homes and people, and the river rose and just completely devastated a region of the area she lived in. And she had just gone through a very difficult breakup with a partner after almost 10 years. And she was just heartbroken,
Yeah.
devastated beyond,
Mm.
didn't have any vision for her life. And on top of it, you could look at this logically with the left brain and go, and on top of that, she goes through a crisis, a hurricane that just tears everything in her vicinity to shreds and decimates the town that she was a part of. And, it's like, okay, that's not good, if you're looking at it through the left brain.
Yes.
Well, fast forward, I think it's been since September when the hurricane really hit them. Um, she just rose up with so many people and she rushed to this particular little town and she said, "How can I help?" Rolled up her sleeves, jumped in, just got in there, front line, front. She did what she does so well. She served and she sees things and she knows how to organize and she knows how to make things happen and she looks at big pictures and she just became this shining light in this little town of so much chaos and confusion and destruction and death. And there was just so many sad, sad things that had happened where she rose and she just put herself out. And I noticed within weeks, she stopped telling me about her sad story. She stopped remembering because she was present, she was
Yeah.
serving, she was reacting to life, and
Wow.
everything she's good at rose to the top. And now, months later, she's now part of a nonprofit group that is trying to serve the rebuild of this little town. It's like, how could have she got from over there to over here? People offered to have her put her living vehicle in places that, just right next to the town. And here, use my kitchen, use my bathroom. Here's free food. Here, and she just I could see the circles start rolling. I could see her putting out and more start coming back to her, putting out more. The most potent thing to me was that she got happier.
Yeah. Yes.
She got happier in the midst of a seemingly devastating crisis. She got
Wow.
happier.
Yes. That's the important because that's also what we are going against, the higher vibration, more expanded a vibration. So yeah, and in the midst of a crisis, it can look dark, as you said, with the logical, but she become happier. She needed the shift. It looks like we go to our birth. We know that it can be pain, but what do we have if the pain when we have gone through the pain? Wow, what a beauty! All the babies we are birthing, and this is kind of a birthing story. She birthed a new next level of herself.
Well, and what was interesting is that more love than she could ever imagine started coming back to her, where she was feeling desolate and cut off from one person. She suddenly had love just pouring, pouring, pouring because she was out giving with all her heart. She'd be the girl with the cart running down to the workers. You need a mask, you need protective gear. Here's a snack, here's some water. She did so many things. And after a while, they were starting to call her, "We think you're the mayor of this town." Because her heart just got so big. It just got so wide. She was just loving this whole town versus, "Oh, I've just been cut off by one person and now I have no life." She found a life. So it's a really beautiful story to
Or
me
life
about
find her, kind
crisis.
of. Yeah. And that is kind of a surrender. You can see it as a surrender because she didn't surrender deliberately, but because yeah, she was the storm and every day the tornado. She was kind of forced in it, but then the surrender to the circumstances she had, and then
Yes.
she kind of bloomed from it. It's like yeah, really stepping into the bigness and the love and the high vibration of her.
Because she came into it saying, "What can I do to help?"
She said yes.
She said yes.
Wow.
Perfect.
Yeah. I love this saying yes. So yeah, you have brought deep story. What happened if we say yes, and if more mothers say yes. But it's not to talk only to the feminine because men also need to say yes. But
Yeah.
as mother, we are holder of our boys and the girls, and so it's like I think it's even more important for women because men are they are more they say yes more than women. Women have been kind of, oh no, we don't say yes because it's for the man. But I think it's a time that women now say yes because we need
Well,
balance.
the men are being called to say yes to their feelings, to
Yes.
their hearts, to
Yeah.
their tender places, that is a viable place to live from,
Yeah.
not demasculating, but it's a very viable place. And to learn to trust the intuitive intelligence versus the logic intelligence.
The soul
Um,
intelligence. Yes.
yes. So there's it's happening to all of us on whatever level we need.
Yeah.
For me, I've had to kind of go a little toward the masculine of yes, do some things you don't really want to do, you know. Even being on a Zoom call, I had a spiritual teacher, but I would come in and keep my camera off, you know, or not even have a camera for many years. And then she decided to upgrade to Zoom. And it's like, I'm not going there. Don't want people to see my face. I'm not, you know, not good with that. Took a lot, but finally, because of her, she kept inviting us, turn your cameras on, get over yourself, you know. So
Yeah.
I slowly did it. I slowly did that a bit. And then I was given a task. I was given an assignment by Spirit to start a Zoom meeting called Circle of Love. And we were going to do the practice of intentional meditation, focused intention, and a small group focusing on one individual in the circle and just practice that. So and I was told in the very beginning, it's like just start this and don't have an idea of what you think it is because you have no idea what this is. You do not know what this is going to become. But it involved me being the one who now hosts a Zoom meeting. It's like a year or two ago, it's like, no, would not do that. No way. So this it came in with so much love, the idea, like you just recently. And I'm learning to say yes. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I don't know. I just get over myself, learn to use Zoom, put myself on the camera, be the mediator or moderator or whatever I'm called, and do this meeting. And I will commit to doing it weekly. And so I have. And interestingly, it's turned out to basically be my mother, who's 92, my sisters, some of their children, some of their daughters. It was Colin, and that was one of the ways that we were interfacing with Colin. And it has turned into the most sweet 3, 4 generations. We had one time when there was 4 generations on there talking about spiritual things coming from very different spiritual orientations. Some very religious and dogmatic, and some very free, and some don't even believe in anything. I'm hosting and trying to orchestrate where's the common dialogue? How can we speak about these things that are true, but
Wow.
not offend, and open our hearts so that we let maybe one of us talk about fairies when one of us over here doesn't believe in fairies, or, you know, and it's been the love has hosted it, and the love that, of course, we're a very tight, loving family group, but that love I've been shown like a template, the love that and the respect we're holding for each other allows us to come together now and unify our energies and our intentions and our consciousness because we're focusing on one person's need each time. And we've tried just kind of opening it up, going, let's just come and see what happens. And we do that and we have fun. But some of the younger ones go, we don't know what to do. We need somebody in the middle. So it's almost like the circle of love almost needs to have a need that people are called forth, brought together to come into circle and focus all that we have for the need, the whatever it is in the center. Anyway, it's been a great experiment. It's been going on for a number of months. And, you know, if I say ever, I don't know, should we keep growing? And most of them are going, one of the younger ones, she says, oh, this is my favorite night of the entire week. And she works a full day before she comes in to her meeting. She looks like she's about to fall over, but she will not miss it. She loves it. It's her nourishment and her food. And so the circle of love has taught us, is teaching us this is a new way to do things. This is a powerful way to bring us together in spite of our differences of belief.
Yeah.
It's just been so powerful.
I do the same, but I do it in a program, Divinima Reset, and I hold the sacred space and so much love. And I do it twice a week, and they say they are kind of longing for this timing. It's like, because of course, because we are
Yes.
reminded of our essence. Also, in essence,
Yes.
we are love, and we want to be in our love. So it was.
Yes.
This is the new that we are. We can bring all of us. We can shine.
Yes.
So,
It's amazing what's
so
happening, what we're a part of. It's amazing. And I just feel
saying
so
it.
blessed, because of the circle and because of the connection to Colin, and he's feeling the impulse to connect me to you. And this is because about a month ago, sorry, about a month ago, I said a new yes
Yeah.
on my birthday. And that's when I was shown that the the merging of the ancient group of what I had been a part of to the now, it merged and it started a new synthesis of something that I need to be on board with, which means it has to involve a yes of faith because we don't know what it looks like. We have no idea what this is.
Actually, what we say yes to is it more light. We say yes to
More
light.
light. We don't know how it's going to show up or what form it will take,
But yeah.
but we've had the experiences, and that's what my journey's been, is a long experience of yes, 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 yes. I mean, I had 5 children and I thought that was a lot. And then all of a sudden, I felt the essence of someone else show up, and I knew it was my daughter. I knew it was her. And I was like, oh, I gotta be pregnant again. Oh my goodness. Okay. And I said yes to it. Little did I know, she stepped back and let 2 slide in before her. And then she came, a number of years later. So then I ended up with 8 children, but it was all through yeses. It was all through saying, yes, I will serve in this manner.
Wow.
And I never, as a young person, ever imagined I could raise 8 children, but it happened, and it was part of the spiritual training. It was part of the path.
Wow. I love all your stories, and it's so deep wisdom in all of that. Feminine wisdom. This is the wisdom that we need out. So we have now spoken for an hour, and I've said thank you, thank you, thank you, Mary. It was wow. This was really deep wisdom, and this is the path we are on now.
This is.
Yeah. So
Well, thank you for inviting me, and we definitely need to connect more.
yeah, and to say yes.
To say yes.
Thank you for listening to the Divine Design podcast with Ann-Peggy Divine. Join us next Sunday for another Heaven on Earth unfolding conversation. With grace, reverence, and unity, may the path of your divine design light the way. From the divine in us to the divine in you.